Next up, Dan.
Yeah. Do you want to hit us with one more, Dan?
Oh, sure.
I know there's a lot. Now that we've highlighted the Black Friday deals, they seem to be coming in at a pretty ridiculous rate.
I've only got 4 curated. Most people are just like, awesome, thanks for the deals.
Oh, that's nice. Shout out those people.
Rip my wallet, etc.
Oh, wait, no, before you do that, there was a chat that I wanted to respond to that wasn't a merch message. Ash69 said, at Linus, XQC needs help building a PC again. Why doesn't he just buy one at this point?
Did he learn nothing?
Like, honestly, I don't think he should build a PC. I think that he should buy a computer. That's what I think.
Just add that to his Amazon list.
Get a Mac Mini from Amazon. Yeah. Hello, my parasocial...
That's what you get for saying you have it under control.
I got it under control.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan, it's the delay. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I got it. Hello,
There's no actual delay between me and Dan. I'm just doing this to mess with him.
All right, I'm going to screw with Linus. I know how to do that. Anyway, try and talk now.
I was gonna say you could just mute him.
No! Oh, you put an echo on me. Dude, that will not stop me at all. You wouldn't believe.
Oh my gosh, you're super capable of doing that.
Dude,
that's not right.
I ran WAN Show. I remember I used to be the producer of WAN Show.
Of course.
So I ran WAN Show while hosting WAN Show with delayed audio in my ears for years. Dude, you cannot do anything to me.
Damn.
I can sing in harmony.
I can barely talk with any sort of like delay around 150. Anyway, here is a merch message for you.
Yeah.
This one says, hello, my parasocial friends, in quotations. Hello, Dan rams us all today, Lenny face. Also, Luke, how's the food at this side of the pond? Any other funny or nice things happening in the land of baguette?
No, food's amazing. Funny things happening? I don't think there's been a lot of particularly funny things happening. I went snowboarding the Alps. That was fun.
Sick.
It's been a great trip so far.
So you went all the way to France so that you could go to Switzerland? Wow, way to betray. Way to betray your French lineage. Way to betray your French lineage, Mr. Lafreniere.
Oh, dude, I've been roasted so hard for that the whole time I've been here.
Oh, I bet.
Anytime anyone figures out my last name after I've already made it clear that I can't speak French, they're like, what are you doing? especially at that point in time, they assume I'm American. And then I'm like, no, I'm from Canada. And they're like, that's worse. So, I don't know. I mean, that's fair, but...
I mean, if you are American, then I guess I can understand. Terrible Canadian.
And I mean, the consistency of which I've been roasted for that is wild. I was at a Christmas market, technically tonight, I guess? I don't know, whatever. And I was shopping, and the lady was like, oh, where are you from? And I was like, Canada. And she started roasting me before she even knew what my last name was. Then I went to go pay, and she saw my name on my card, and she was like, what? Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, get good, scrub. All right. Yeah. What are we supposed to be doing right now?
Who knows? More topics.
Sure, let's do
topics,
a topic. Oh, dude, wait. Can you? Okay. Oh, dude, this is amazing. In a first-of-its-kind lawsuit, Sydney Nicole Gifford is suing fellow Amazon influencer Alyssa Scheel for copyright infringement and misappropriation of likeness. Both create content in the clean girl aesthetic, characterized by neutral colors, minimalist decor, and a focus on self-care. But Gifford alleges that Scheel has harmed her earnings by copying her content, including featuring the same types of products, posting similar poses and outfits, matching specific frames of her videos, and even getting a similar flower tattoo on her left bicep, just like Gifford. Scheel denies copying Gifford and claims that the similarities in their content are due to the nature of the Amazon influencer program and the prevalence of the clean girl aesthetic. She argues that many influencers feature the same products and that Gifford's style is not unique. Kind of own-goaling with that one, IMO, says Riley. Sorry, he added that to our notes. Legal experts suggest that Gifford's case faces challenges because copyright law offers limited protection for the type of content she creates. Given the generic nature of many of the images and lack of exact replication, the similarities may not be sufficient to prove infringing. Our discussion question is, what are the boundaries of intellectual property in the influencer industry where repeating trends is kind of part of the culture, like memes? Could we sue another YouTuber for making Junkyard Wars, for example? Wait, oops, that's the US version of the UK show Scrap Heap Challenge, which we actually did realize when we named our thing Scrapyard Wars, but hey, at least it's not quite the same thing. Now, everything that I said just now is sort of hard to wrap your brain around until you actually look at the content. So I'm gonna pull these guys up. Hold on. Here we go. I'm gonna pull up the one, and then I'm gonna pull up the other one. And it is worth. I know that people have some thoughts on The Verge or whatever. It is worth firing up The Verge. I'm gonna Dan, can you share the article with people? Sure. It's worth firing up The Verge and reading this article. It's a long read, but just look, put your Subway Surfers aside for a little bit and read it, because it is sort of mind-blowing. It's an outstanding piece of journalism. And hold on, I'm just trying to Control F. Crying out loud. Sydney, Sarah, here we go. It's an outstanding piece of journalism because it manages to tell both sides of the story in a way that I think is shockingly unbiased. Because if you're anything like me, you're going to look at these two and you're just going to kind of go, okay. Oh, for crying out loud. Just find the stupid thing. Here. Okay, here we go. You're going to look at these two and you're just going to go, yeah, how could anyone be more generic than this? And how could one painfully generic person accuse another painfully generic person of like stealing their vibe when this is it? I mean, oh man, I told myself that when we covered this, I was going to try to stay neutral, but like, my God, you didn't create the products.
Like their color palette?
Yeah, you didn't create any of these products. Do you understand where that took me way too long.
Sorry.
Do you understand where products come from? Okay? Because it wasn't from you. It wasn't from your Instagram page. It was from a company somewhere that engaged a manufacturer somewhere, built a spec for a product, and created it. And if it exists on Amazon, there are literally, I promise you, the minimum order quantity for them is thousands of units. There are literally thousands of them that exist before you ever touched it. How can you possibly say that someone is infringing on you by featuring the same like purse or whatever? I am beyond words on this whole vibe.
Anyone is telling us to check examples from the Verge article, but I would recommend that people just go look at the Verge article themselves. The main thing that stands out to me is probably the arm tattoo. If those are actually super similar, that could be getting kind of weird.
They're in the same spot, but let's be realistic. There are not that many spots that like people put tattoos. I will show just the tattoo one.
Is it like the same tattoo though?
I'll show just the tattoo here. No, not really.
So rose and
definitely similar.
Dandelions?
Yeah, it's in like kind of a similar spot, but like,
and it's a similar style.
Like, look, if I got a tramp stamp, would one of them accuse me of copying them? Like,
what,
well, no, I'm
what,
not.
A second one?
I'm not saying. like an enlarged one.
Second stress.
Like I'm not saying that either of them has one. I doubt that tramp stamp is part of the clean girl aesthetic. If anything, the opposite. But like my point is just that there's a finite number of like trendy places that people put tattoos, and I don't think that you can lay claim to putting a mark on a particular spot on your body. Like there's only so many of them. Yeah,
Right. Yeah,
Mikeo says tattoo fads are definitely a thing, and it's like I don't know, man. Like I just and you know what? There's, like I said, the article's really good, and it does a good job of allowing them to kind of lay out what they think should be protected about their business. But I gotta say, as someone who's in the influencer game, even though a lot of what we do is more akin to vlogging or reviewing, as someone who definitely participates in affiliate programs, honey, what you do ain't unique. And if someone's copying your style, then that's good, and keep innovating. I've been doing this for one of them is 24. Okay, I have been doing this since
more than half the time they've been alive.
I have been doing this since the one of them was 7 years old. And let me tell you, what you did when you first started, it's not going to work today. And what you're doing today is not going to work tomorrow. Platforms come and go. Content formats come and go. Visual styles come and go. You probably shouldn't have gotten that tattoo because, now you've marked yourself as like, Gen Z or whatever. No, in all seriousness, get whatever tattoos you want. The point is just that everything is impermanent. And if you expect like your signature tattoo to be like a thing and stay fresh and hip forever, you got another thing coming. That is not how this works. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Next topic?
Yeah, let's do it. Anyway, read the article. It's really good. It's probably the best piece that I've read on The Verge in years.
Yeah, we don't want to cannibalize other people's stuff, so just go check it out yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to talk about
hold on. There's one thing I'm going to read off of it first. This is really funny. It's like the what is it? The byline, the subheadline? I don't know. I don't come from print. One Amazon influencer makes a living posting content from her beige home. But after she noticed another account hawking the same minimal aesthetic, a rivalry spiraled into a first-of-its-kind lawsuit. Can the legal system protect the vibe of a creator? And what if that vibe is basic? Oh, I should call her a basic bitch without saying it. I love it.
That's actually pretty good.
Anyway, it's great. It's great because there's this undertone of like, okay, this is all ridiculous, right? Like Emperor's New Clothes. Like we all know this is ridiculous, right? But she tackles the subject matter with such energy and like almost like doe-eyed innocence. Like I don't know that this is ridiculous. That you have to admire it. It's a really stylish article. It's really good. Boom, blue balls. Go read it. All right. Dan?
Sure. Hey, Dinus, Luke, and Lan. With LMG's address being public and having held events at the studio, have you had disruptive fans? Have you had to put on extra focus on employee safety?
That's a really good question. You know what? For the most part, our community is extremely respectful of our personal boundaries. We have signs up outside. Yeah. We've talked about it on the WAN show. There have been a couple of notable exceptions where people think that because they're here, they're entitled to, an audience of some sort. And the reality of it is that in our business, that's a safety issue. And that's just not something that we can entertain. We have processes for these kinds of things. Don't show up here. You won't get a tour. You won't get a selfie. Like it doesn't work like that. And no, it's a really good question, but overall, people have been super, super respectful. And actually, we have found that there has been a reduction interest in our location and interest in infringing on our privacy ever since we... He almost dropped it. Dan. Infringing on our privacy. I thought you were taking it away. What are you doing? What did you do? It had what in it? He says it had animals in it. What is happening? Am I missing something?
Sorry, it had
Bug,
the bug that was crawling around all over it.
Oh, okay.
No,
Gross.
no, it is somewhere else.
Cool. What was I talking about? Right.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so actually people have been better about it ever since we just published our address on Google Maps. Like, it's one of those things where it takes a ton of the intrigue out of it. Like,
It
dude,
actually kind of sucked back in the house. People were trying to come by. Like, we were a way smaller channel back then, and people would try to come by more often. Yeah.
I Spoofed Him says, regarding the security issue, if I travel from New Zealand, can I inquire about looking around the studios and prearranging a time for this? Unfortunately, the answer is no. We do meetups and we do tours sometimes. We've done it as part of LTX, for example. But other than that, the answer has to be no, because no disrespect, but I don't know who you are, right? And when we're not set up for it, we're not set up for it, and we can't be set up for that kind of thing every day. This is an office. It's a production studio. We're working, right? We do have fun. I think we genuinely have fun sometimes, but we have a job to do, and we can't have random disruptions like that. Tony B486 says the White House gives tours. Well, good for them.
I hear if you go in January, it's like free.
Only if you got the
No. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Been a long time enjoyer of the show. Question for Linus. Working with engineers, what have you learned or became interested in? I'm hoping to study outside of school to become one.
Oh man, talking to someone who is knowledgeable and passionate about just about anything is super interesting. I never thought that I would care. And I'm talking about Tatiana's spot on the Double Sweet 16 stream again. I never thought that I would care about fabric weights and composition. But you talk to somebody like that about it, and you're like, dang, this is cool. You know, and it's the same. You know, you talk to someone like Tynan. And I'll use a non-work example. You know, Tynan's, I don't want to give away any personal information, but Tynan knows a lot about rehabilitation equipment and like workplace ergonomic equipment. He knows a lot about that. I'm not going to explain why. And talking to him about that stuff, it's just like, it's cool. There's so much more to like rehab than just, you know, taking it easy or whatever else. I'm trying to think of like, oh man, they never let me talk to Nate in merch meeting because the project that he's working on is a very long-term project, and the reality of it is that I don't really need to talk to him for him to keep working on it. But I love talking to Nate about it because he, I think, believes extremely strongly in the product that he's building for LTT Store right now, and is genuinely excited about telling me about the roadblocks that he's able to overcome and some of the exciting features that we might be able to have, and just everything is cool when you dig deep enough into it. Or maybe it isn't. But if it isn't for you, then I think, you know, you got to learn to be curious. I think you genuinely have to learn to be curious. I don't think that everyone naturally has the instinct or the impulse to ask a follow-up question. And because if they did, then everyone would have, you know, the same coverage, say for example, of a new news story. But if someone else's is deeper, it's because they had the curiosity to ask another question. And I think that's something that you have to practice.
Do you think that's a modern thing? Do you think that's because of the internet? No,
I don't think so. I think that if anything, like literacy should have made us more curious. If anything, I think, and I think that historically our our capacity for exploration and digging deeper into things was lower. I think as a species, we accepted easy answers without the same critical thought that largely people at least attempt to give it today.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Well, sorry, what are we supposed to be doing, Dan?
Thanks for the WAN show. I love listening every week. I teach at a digital art high school. What tips could you give for throwing a small LAN party, maybe 20 to 50 students, and maybe some specific games that would work well?
Well, first things first, I can tell you that 20 to 50 is a big range. 20 is a reasonable sized LAN party. I would say that's a medium sized LAN party. 50 is big. So you are, yeah, the 50 is a freaking lot to coordinate, because as soon as it's bigger than a lobby, right? As soon as it's bigger than one lobby, all of a sudden it's either like free for all and people are just playing World of Warcraft on their computers over in that corner and they're doing whatever over there, or you are like managing multiple events, right? Because there's almost nothing where you're going to have 50 people playing concurrently at the same time. So what I would say is limit your seat count to decide on your games, and then limit your seat count to something that you can actually manage. And if you can, I would publish the games and schedule that you're planning to play ahead of time. People will hate it. They'll be mad about it, that you're just like, this is the game we're playing from this time to this time, and this is the next game we're playing, and this is the next game we're playing. But when the event is done, they will have had way more fun. And they won't know why. The other good thing about doing like a 16 seat or something like that, like 8 to 12 to 16, is that managing power is going to be a lot easier. Like you can probably do about 3 computers per circuit if you're in North America, maybe 4 or 5 if you're over in Europe. When you have like 50 people now, you're talking like you have to drag extension cords from every corner of the house or the facility in order to power all these computers. When you just have like 12 people, you're dragging like 3 or 4 circuits over, and you're going to have a lot fewer like blown circuit breakers.
That was going to be my biggest point, is when you start getting to numbers like 50, you're now like investing in infrastructure instead of just having some buddies over and maybe buying like a
network
genuinely
switch,
very cheap switch. When you're at 50, you're tables, chairs, power delivery, networking.
I mean, they work at a school, so presumably they have tables and chairs, but
okay, yeah, that helps.
They asked for specific games. Luke, what are your favorite LAN party games?
I mentioned Savage. If it's incredibly old at this point, but if you can somehow acquire ISOs, because I don't know if there's any other way to get it genuinely. It's a great game for when you have very large groups of people and you want everyone to play the same game, especially if you have separate rooms of people and you want people to play the same game, especially if you're at a school and one of the desks has like a projector screen, so you can have your like commander player with the projector screen and then everyone else's individual units. It's like actually sensational for that specific use case. Outside of that, I don't know, all the classic things. I think Halo CE is just genuinely a really good LAN game. Yeah. I think Counter-Strike, if you limit it to people that don't actively play, is a really good LAN game.
Jumping in a giant TF2 lobby can be a lot of fun.
That's very fun. Yeah, you can spark servers that way. So if you don't necessarily have enough people to make a game like TF2 fun just within your LAN, if you have enough people to make the server look active, you can jump into a type that you want. Say you want like 24/7 Gold Rush or whatever it's called. You could like jump in there, and then you have enough people in there that other people will join the server as well, which is cool.
We've got to play that first game, Savage. We got to play that at the first Whale LAN, because you've told me about it so many times and I've never played it.
It was old when I used to play it, and I used to play it when I was in university. So it's like it's pretty old at this point. But it's yeah. If you have two like commander projector screen type people, because basically one player on each team plays an RTS, and everyone else on those teams plays essentially an FPS.
Whoa! There's Savage Resurrection.
What's that?
From 8 year coverage from 8 years ago.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Here, what is this? So this video is from The War Owl, has 250,000 views.
I know that creator, yeah.
This video is a paid promotion by S2 Games for Savage Resurrection, so it must be a cult classic from the tail end of the second golden age of gaming returns with Savage Resurrection. Was ahead of its time in 2003. Well, today is today. Savage has returned. So here it is. Yeah, apparently there's a relatively modern Savage, Luke. Interesting.
I had no idea.
Yeah. We're going to have to try it. I don't know if it's any good, but we'll definitely have to try it. I'm going to, here, I'll go to the Steam stores. Ooh, reviews mixed.
That's a death sentence.
Don't be misguided by the positive reviews. This game is dead. There's no one online and no single player content. Devs made it pretty clear they won't be supporting this game anymore. Do not buy. This is from September of 2016.
I mean, that makes sense.
That
I'm
makes
not surprised
sense.
by that at all.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well,
like the first Savage, even I remember when someone was talking to me about it, I was like, how does this make any sense? Like this almost isn't viable outside of LAN parties at schools. Like, how is this game possibly viable at all?
Notice, at the request of the publisher, Savage Resurrection is unlisted on Steam and will not appear in Surge. So this game is actually dead. Can you buy a game that's unlisted though? I actually don't know, and I'm not logged into Steam on this computer, so I'm kind of curious now. We're gonna have to try it
right now on the website. It doesn't.
You can't buy it, man. This is sad. The fact that games just are removed from storefronts and that's it. So sad. Apparently, there's also Savage XR.
16. So it's a 16v16 game with human commanders. So I think that means, I don't think that
34
maybe
players.
That means 15 versus 15 and then commanders.
Either way, that's pretty cool.
Not sure. Yeah.
Apparently, Savage XR is something as well.
What's that?
Savage XR. Download the RTS and FPS game. Okay. Well, this is a website. The free real-time strategy shooter for Windows, Linux, and Mac. Play for free. Be a commander or a warrior. Savage XR, the successor of the 2003 The Battle for New Earth, takes the best of game. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, cool. That's probably worth checking out at some point, maybe. I don't know. Nice website though.
Yeah, I don't know if their publishers or their developer is still doing anything or not. I do know that when there was that big rush for like Dota style games, I'm pretty sure they were the ones that made Heroes of New Earth, because I think Savage was Savage the Battle for New Earth. So there's some random history there. STGames.com. Let's see.
Why don't we do our next topic?
Ooh.
Gaming in the USA is about to get terrible. Yeah, I know. On November 25th, President-elect Trump promised a flat 25% tariff on goods coming into America from both Canada and Mexico, as well as a 10% tariff on goods from China. Some examples of things the U.S. imports from these countries are about 60% of their crude oil imports. Those come from Canada. Almost $1 billion worth of sugar from Mexico, but probably more relevant to our audience, a lot of tech products from China. For example, the Xbox Series X is almost entirely manufactured in China, as well as a ton of PC components. Discussion question here is, would manufacturing move back to the USA to help circumvent these tariffs? And we probably aren't going to get into a ton of detail on this on WAN Show, because we have a full video coming about this over the next little bit. I think it's coming out on Sunday. We basically kind of dive into the politics aside, math is math, why this is going to affect prices at the till, and why now may be a good time to kind of jump on a new PC or some new electronics. Our other discussion question, though, is do you see any side effects from this, either positive or negative, other than just higher priced electronics? And one of the examples is Riley had an interesting take where, or he saw an interesting take where maybe subscription-based gaming services could boom because people don't want to buy the hardware, but wouldn't be paying a tariff tax on something like GeForce Now. Could we see like an unexpected a beneficiary of this?
Do you think things like GeForce Now might go up in price though, as they have to pay more for their hardware?
No, because my understanding is NVIDIA does a lot of their manufacturing with Foxconn in Taiwan. Don't quote me on it being in Taiwan, but I'm pretty sure that NVIDIA's first-party cards are not manufactured in China, which is why Founders Editions were so cheap last time around.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, fair
So
enough.
just because NVIDIA is saving on tariffs on their cards doesn't mean that their retail price will necessarily be reasonable. But what it does mean is that their costs are fine. So they'd be happy to lease you those cards.
Yeah, if they see the competition going more expensive because of tariffs, they'll just go with them, probably.
Well, we talk about that in the video, how even if you've moved your manufacturing out, if the competitive landscape shifts and I don't know, everyone's paying this price anyway, you just, hey, thanks for the margin. So we kind of get into the corporate logic that accompanies the decision-making process that leads to things like shrinkflation and just generally higher prices.
Did you guys talk about the whole, like, I don't know the proper terminology for it, but when there's effectively a shell company in a country that's not being tariffed?